Hello, good evening. Welcome to class.
So I can get it in.
Yeah, how's it been? Everything good?
Yes. Everything is good. Everything is well. No complaints.
Uh, Good to know.
Hope everything is well on your end too.
Uh, Sorry, you said?
I said, I hope everything is well on your end.
Yeah, I'm good. Everything is good. Uh, Give me 1 second. Let me share screen. Share. And then give me another 1 second to ensure that this is deleted completely. Database is very expensive, so if we leave it running,
Okay.
I will exhaust all of the training fee just on there. So I was just practicing with this, but I didn't complete that. And then it's still deleted. Just give let's just watch this for another 2, 3 minutes to see if it deletes completely. Then we can
Okay.
start practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Oh, that's still deleting. That'll take a while. Okay, so let's
Is
just
this
start
part of
on.
okay. Okay. This is S3 buckets. Oh, let me
No,
delete
this database.
or
RDS.
the
Yeah,
okay.
RDS. All right, so let's go on. I'll just check this intermittently. Well, this is costing. It's a production grade database, not even the. So I'm just wary of the charges. But let's go on. So let's share note. Okay. Okay, so where are we? Yes, so last time we are talking about, I know we said the process was confusing and a bit too long. So we said, okay, and I did find, I've documented the shortcuts. So it should be just copy and paste or really straightforward today. So what are we? Uh, yeah, yes, somewhere around here. We did that around 53 years. Okay, so let's do Route 53. Yes, we did that class exercise. Register a domain name. Okay, let's just start all over. So register a domain name, then deploy two EC2s, and then use those two EC2s to create a record. Okay, let's quickly do that. So we're starting from here. Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah, number one, Abby. Or number
Yeah.
two.
Let's just start from the very beginning. So
Mhm.
class exercise. So we'll copy this and then we'll use it to create. We already have that in our template. So let's just go to, yeah, let's just do that. So we'll come to AWS. And then even though it says we have one instance running, I just terminated it. We actually have no instance. So let us create new instances. So we say instance one, create from template, call it from this template. Uh, and then let's just put something different so that when the two are shown. So here we'll just do wow, 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 something that will attract our attention.
Mhm.
Wow. Oh, what did I click? Cancel. So then we'll create that. Let's take a particular availability zone. So come back to networks, and then we'll say put this in 2B. All right, so let's create the next one and put it in a different availability zone. So we'll go back to EC2, and we'll say create instance, launch it from template. This is the only template we have, this particular one, and then put this in availability zone 2. So network is the 2A. And then what are we changing? We'll just leave this, the current setting there, and then we'll say launch. Now we'll have two web servers. All right, so now that we have two web servers, if we come back to this document, we already ran that. We registered the domain name. So if we go back, let's see if our domain is still there. So we come here to Route53. Then in Route53, we see our DNS management. And then we see all of the domains that we have here. There's this particular one, NSSOA, confirm that we have the domain hosted called classpractice.click. All right. And then deploy launch EC2 instance in AWS region. Yeah, we just allowed that. We just did that. Create Route 53. We just did that for training.com. Training dot yeah, it's just an example. And then to create an A record is very easy. So if we go back here and then we see is our EC2 working? Let's go back to EC2 here, and then we go to EC2, and then we go to our running instances. We see all running instances. One is terminated. We have these two. So we see maybe we see only running instances. All right. So if we click this one, we'll get the IP address. We'll confirm that that one is browsing, and then we'll get the second one, confirm the IP address, and then we'll copy that. And then what do we have here? We'll confirm that that one is browsing. All right. So we're saying we're not going to give IP address to our client or to our customers to be typing. We need to resolve that to a domain name that they can easily remember. So we take that IP address. Anyone can take this one. What's the IP address now? Details, public IP. Did I change something? Okay, I'll just look for networking, private, public. So I take this public IP address and I go to Route 53. Okay, I guess this one has finally deleted now. Okay, so I can close that now. So I go to Route 53. Where's my Route 53? Yeah, this is my Route 53. And I simply create a record. Very, very simple. All right, so we used to be here. And then we can switch between this, which is easier, and the wizard. For me, okay, let's just stick with one. So simple A record, I take that and I say, take me to A record, and I say define my A record. For every time I press that, it should automatically take me to this. That is it, it's done. It's done, there is nothing to it. So I've created my A record. So next time, instead of typing the IP address to browse it, I'll simply go to click, class practice.click. All right, so if I give enough time for propagation, that should open that for me. All right, so that is it for that one. Oh, maybe I didn't complete it. Create record. All right, so I completed it now, and it's showing here now. I've created a record. All right, so if I go back now and relax a little and not rush and just make sure that I'm doing things right. If I do that now, giving just a few minutes more, it should be able to point now. And in case it's not pointing, because this one is delaying, I'll just go to the engine room and check whether it's working from there. In which case I can log in from any system, maybe from this one. And I say connect. And then once connected, I'll say dig class practice dot click. And I should see that that one is resolving. All right, so it's only a matter of time that the browser would show it. But here, I'm already convinced that it's resolving. So that's a record. All right, let's go to the next one. We did that there. Then CNAME would be, for example, you come to my organization and you say, give me a website. I'm not going to go all of this process for all of my 500 customers. So for each of them, I'll just create a subdomain under my own domain name. And then I'll now point your own sanmi.com to my subdomain. So whatever content I have here is the content I'll be showing as your own full website. So that way,
Oh, I see.
yes. So that way in my house, I have many rooms and I'm giving you your own home pointing to
So,
one room.
so is it possible that in real life, a www does, JK and Sons, but it will still show whatever is on AWS's website. Is that how it works?
AWS's website. Okay, let's explain this. So what I'm saying is, let's draw it. I'll need the web developers to put that in for me. So it's not something I can demonstrate. So I'm saying that I have a practice dot click class practice dot click. So that's my domain name. So I have a subdomain training, a subdomain HRs. So I have many subdomains here, making up my domain. All right. So my own subdomain here, the whole domain is classpractice.click. This subdomain will be training.classpractice.click. This subdomain might be hr.classpractice.click. This subdomain might be digging.classpractice.click, and so on and so forth. Now you have your own from me.org, for example. So what I could just do is I'll just point your own submit.doc to one of these, so that when somebody types submit.doc on their browser to browse the website, it is the content that I have here that will show. So I am mapping submit.doc to training.classpractice.click. You get it now? So that way I can serve many customers. This one I will assign to another customer. This one I can assign to another. So I can have 700 to 7,000 different customers. I'm exaggerating, maybe in reality not. And then each of them will be directed to a subdomain. But to the word, they don't know all of these details. This is just in the background. What the word sees is that when they type submit.com, Submit website comes up. That's it. The reality, Submit does not own his own home. He's just renting a room in my mansion and then calling that his home.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so the next thing is weighted records. To create weighted records, again, we'll go here. Again, we may say, but this is simple. Now, why are we putting it there? Let's just leave it there so that, so create weighted record, we'll go back to our Route 53. So let's go back to Route 53. Yeah. And then we'll say, by the way, let's quickly check if this one is resolving now. It's not resolving, no problem, but we know that it's resolving because we have seen, because sometimes it can take up to 24 hours or even 48 hours. But we know in the end from the engine room that it's already resolved. It just needs time to propagate.
Okay.
All right. Okay, now, in other words, if we don't come here to test, it's nothing serious. We could tell our customer, don't worry, give it up to 48 hours, it will propagate globally and you'll be able to see it at your end. But at our own end, once we're able to confirm from dig that it's resolving here, then we are good. It's still resolving. A record is resolving to that IP address. All right. Now, the next thing we want to try under Route 53 is weighted records. How do we do weighted records? I've actually put that here for you. Can you see? And then again, let's maximize this so that that confusion we had last time will not be there. Everything will just be clear. All right, so for weighted record, we are going to create two records. AA, weighted. And then we'll say share it 30, 70, 50, 50, whatever it is. So the important thing here is that we are going to do two. And then you can see here that at one time it resolved to that IP, at another time resolved to a different IP, which means it's distributing like you explained, just like you actually explained it perfect. Now let's do it practically. It's very simple. So we'll go back to our Route 53. And then let us remove this so that we can create new ones. So we'll remove the existing A record. And I was going to remove. Let's delete the existing A record. So I come here and I say delete this record. So that record is deleted. Now let's create a new one. This time I'm going to create weighted. And then for the domain, that same domain, I'm going to say A record. But what type of A record? It's already, the wizard has already taken me straight there. So define weighted. So I'm going to say, so I'm going to take one IP address. One of the two that I want to weight to. That's what I had. Okay, let me just use this one. and then I'll remove this completely. So I just say, show me only running these two. All right, so I take this one and I say, I want to point my domain name to this one. So I take that, and what was my IP address? I think I mistakenly clicked the old-fashioned one, but it doesn't matter. This is not the time to. So let me just let me go back here and take that one. And then I'll just go to networking, and then I'll say public IP, and then I'll present that here, Control V, and I'll say out of weight of 200, maybe 100 can go there. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be 50, but I just prefer to work with 100%, in which case I'll say 50% should go there. And now, okay, let us simplify it. 50% goes there. I may want to call this one web server one or any name that I didn't fit. And that is done. And I say create record for that. That is created. I'm saying one. Then for the other ones, maybe there are 4 of them or 2 of them. I create one more. I say create record, again, weighted record for the second one. And I do that and I say the same weighted record, same domain. And then I say define my weighted record. This time it goes to the second IP address. So I take my second IP address and I look for the IP address, public IP address. I copy that and I paste here, Control V. And I say earlier on I gave 50%. I can give 30% to this and then 10% to the remaining, or 20% if I have one more. But in this case, I have just 2, maybe the other 50% here. All right, and I may want to call this on web server 2, for example, and that's it. And I say define. I say create. And that brings us to this screen. So weighted 50%, 50%. And that's exactly what I have in the note here. Weighted 50%, 50%. All right, let us test. Is it really working? Is it working? So
So to check if it's working, is it just a case of dig again?
yes, dig is the way. Dig is the way. Don't ever
Okay.
confuse it with the browsing proper, because the browsing
Okay.
proper can take note that Route 53 propagation is a global thing. Sometimes it takes minutes, sometimes it can take up to 48
Okay.
hours. So don't wait for
Okay.
that one. Digging is enough to confirm. In fact, more than
Okay.
enough. All right. So we'll go back again to dig. And then this time, there. And then this time we say dig that. And then what do we see now? We see that first of all, it is propagating to one IP address, 113. Oh, 300, that's a long time to wait. Let's go and reduce that to 1 minute. So we'll come back here and we say edit. And then let's change that to 1 minute. And then we'll say save. And then let's do the same thing for, so let's check what we have here. All right, so we'll reduce that to 1 minute. Okay, so let's go back to dig. And then we're still on the old one until this one finishes before it will be able to. All right, so it's going to take another, let's see. Yeah, time to leave has reduced, yeah. So after that circle has completed, the next circle will take only 60 seconds. All right, but you're following it so far. So we just want to confirm that that is working. Maybe first circle, like you explained, will point to one, then second circle will point to the other one. So once we're able to verify that, like I did here, then that one has worked. All right, so let's go on. Latency and geolocation. It's the same thing like we did, what we created true. And that's the note that I've given here. So to create geolocation-based record, redirect users based on their location, we deploy EC2 instance in multiple AWS regions. Then we choose the latency-based routing. And then what we do is we'll create one, and then we'll repeat the exact same thing for another. I was going to leave this to you to practice on your own, but yeah, we
We
can
deploy
just
AC, we deploy AC2 in multiple regions, so 1A and 1B.
uh,
And
we are talking about AZ, but this one we're talking about region. So region will
oh,
be
region. Oh,
exactly, yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So I'm just let's quickly before we go ahead and do that one, let's quickly check whether what we have done so far is working here. So let's go to dig. What's the position of dig now? Clear the screen. What's dig? Dig that. Wow. Still checking. Okay, so we'll come back and check. Okay, so let's come here. Let's create one more EC2, but in a different region. So what region are we operating from right now? Ohio. Let's go to a different region. So let's go to East US West. So we'll go to US West, which I have the yes, and then here we'll just create one more instance. So how do we create instance? We say
so so over here now, would our launch template still be in place?
let's see. No, it will not be in place. It's a different region. So it's a different. So if we come here now, we'll say launch, and then we'll come here, we'll say launch template. Yeah, it's not in
Mm.
place. So that answers your question. All right. So rather than create launch template, this is just a one-time thing. Let's just do it the manual way. So we come here and say uh, car, car, Kali. Yeah, that's a Kali server. All right. This T2 micro. Do we even have a key pair here? Okay, I have Kali key pair. Fine. And then can be any. And okay, let me just specify that it should be in a particular. It doesn't really matter as long as it's a different region. So I just do 1C there. And that's it. Create. Do I have a security group here? Default security group. Okay, that's fine. Use default security group. Don't need to create a new one. Advanced network configuration. I need yours to be a web server, so I'm going to put my user data there. I have my user data in the node somewhere here. So I'll just copy this, Control C, and then I'll put it there. Control V. Let me do something for you to show that this is a different server from California. So you just do maybe something like California server. This. Yeah. Something like that. And then I think we're done. And then we say launch this. All right. So now we have that. So if we come here, we see the IP address of our California server is right here. All right. So now we have two web servers. So to go and do geolocation, so come to our Route 53. Route 53 is global. It's not restricted to one, can you see it? To one region. So you can have it
One
applies to
global.
all region.
So
Sorry?
you said something is global. What do you say?
Yes. Can you see where I'm pointing? I'm saying Route 53 is not restricted. The application of Route
Okay.
53 services
Okay.
is not
Okay.
restricted to regions. Irrespective of what region you are working on, it will apply to it, its global service. All right, so in order for this new one we are doing to apply, we need to remove weighted. But before we remove weighted, so that we can apply a new one, let's quickly see, even though we know that it's working, let's quickly see if this one has. All right, so luckily for us, see now, it's resolving to a different IP address, and instead of 300, it's now doing 60. So everything's working perfect, right?
Yeah, looks like it. Yes.
Yes, it is. We're engineers. We don't have time to be browsing there, because anyway, you are going to practice it and then come back to me to say, it did resolve here, but I waited 48 hours. I did not see it change here. And then we can now write letter to Amazon and say, why are you lying to us? You told us maximum of 48 hours, it will work. All right. So it's not me just trying to get shortcut. This is the real standard. This is the practice. All right. So it has resolved here, which will learn to trust that this is the real thing. So let's clear this so that we can practice more. There's so much to practice. This is class. All right. So we'll clear these two records and we'll say, beautiful. We saw how that worked. And then we select them and say, delete records. And now we want to practice another kind of record. So we'll come to create record. This time we want to practice geolocation. So we take geolocation, next, and then just like we did before, we say, anytime we click this, it should go to, for geolocation, it should go to this IP address. For people living in Africa, it should be directed to that IP address. And now we just say, any name is okay, Africa server.
So this is for it's only for those in Africa.
Yes. Every time the African customer clicks this URL, classpractice.click, it takes them to this IP address.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
geolocation. And then we define that. It's the same thing. And then we create that. And then it says record was successfully created. Now for this same URL, we go back, we say create another record, again, geolocation, and then we say next. However, this now is for people in, so we'll come here and say people located, our customers located in Europe, they should, when they type the same URL, they should be pointed to a different IP address. So we'll come here, and then we say, where is this? This is our California, so let's go to a different region. This is not California. Where's the other? This is Ohio, okay? This Ohio. Okay, I'll just open a new Ohio from here. I'll do EC2. EC2, so I'm working multiple regions now. EC2 Ohio, okay? So I go to my EC2 dashboard, and then I take one of these, or maybe so I take that one and I say public IP address, and I say public IP address, and then I go and present it to my Route 53 here. And I say it's a different IP address for people that will be browsing from Europe. And this one, let's call it our Europe.
Sorry, one second. So obviously for this, that means that we have to create. So if we're looking for 4 different locations, right? So that means we have to create 4 different servers, right?
Yeah,
So each
yes,
server has. Okay.
yes. Unless, of course, you want maybe 3 locations to point to one server, then 1 location to point to the other server, in which case you can do 2 servers.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, but in this case, we are just saying 1 server per location, then we'll create 4 different servers. All right, so that is it. So as long as you are seeing the 2 of them here, it's created without problem. It means that,
So that's really just so all you do is just create an instance, come here, Route 53, create record, click on
Mm-hmm.
geolocation, and
Mm-hmm.
pick the IP address from the server and pick the location you want. And that's
That's
it.
it. So simple, so straightforward. That's why I kept saying simple, simple yesterday. But somehow, because we didn't do pre-practice enough, it appeared like it's so clumsy. So that's it. For all of them, it's the same thing. Just like we did for weighted, that's what we repeat for. And if we're going to do for latency based now, it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing. For that
So,
latency
so, so,
based,
so, yes,
yeah.
so for latency, it has its own
Okay, so let's do
um
it since you have questions about latency. All right,
its own
so
card.
its own wizard that would lead us
Yeah,
there.
exactly. It has yeah.
Yeah. So if we go now to let's go to dig one more time. So if we go to dig, what does dig give us about this one? So earlier on, it was able to resolve to these two, 113 and 16. Is it a different IP address now that will give us outside 113 and 16?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Because we have different locations, don't we?
yeah, so it may not really be applicable from here, to be honest, because what it directs us to from here will depend on where we're browsing from. So it will direct us only to, all right, so 900, wow. Let's quickly change that to minutes. Mm, so, mm. Yes, so we take that and then we see modify, edit record, and then we see that. Oh, we're browsing from American, we're browsing from, so it will not even apply. So let me put you, oh, okay, I'm in Europe, okay. So I should be able to, it should apply. Save, so let's do this one, and then edit record, reduce that to 1 minute, and then we'll see save. So for people browsing from Europe, they should be able to resolve to 16. So since I'm working from Europe now, if I do dig, it should tell me that I am being pointed to dot 16. All right, so if we come to dig, we'll come to dig that, it should tell me that I'm pointing to 16. Mhm. All right, clear. Okay, so let's see if I go to class practice.click. This is it will continue to point here. So this must be 16. This one that says wow, wow, wow must be 16. How do we know? Okay, let's go and browse the IP address to confirm that this is the IP address ending .16. I don't even know what region that is anymore. Let's go and find out. All right, so is it the California region that is saying wow, wow, wow? What does the California region say? Let's quickly take the IP address of California here and then browse it. Is it this one saying wow, wow, wow? Control V. No, it's not the one saying wow, wow, wow. Okay, so which one is saying wow, wow, wow? Let's go and find out. This California. This one is Ohio. All right. So Ohio will have this IP address, public. This one that says 16. Let's pretend that's not the first one. Let's take this one. This one that says networking dot that. Are you the wow, wow, wow? Let's browse that one. Control V. No, it's not the wow, wow, wow. So which one is the wow, wow, wow then? Let's refresh this. Has it changed? No, it has not changed. It did the same. Then it must be the last one. So if we go to the last one, you're in US. Okay. What are we even doing? Maybe I should have done US so that you can browse the same IP and then you see exactly what we're saying instead of Africa. But if we now come to this other last one that ends with .16, then this must be the wow, wow, wow. So if we come here, Control V, that's the wow, wow, wow. Now, if somebody else browses, okay, you go ahead and browse classpractice.com. Let me point you to a different server since you are browsing from the US. So I'm going to come here and I'll point you to this server. So come here and I modify that and I say edit record. This now should be for people browsing, not from Africa, but from the US, North America, the whole of North America. I think I can even be state specific, but let's just leave it at this and say America market server, America server, web server. All right. All right. If we just give a few time to propagate, then you should be able to. Can you browse the classpractice.click and tell me what you are saying?
Sure. Mhm. Let's practice. Um, California server is here.
California server, that's what you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the content? Oh, California server is here, that's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Me, I'm seeing wow, wow, wow. I think that's enough proof that we are seeing different things.
So is that easy to create a website?
No, this is not the creation of website. This is the
Sorry, so that website,
pointing,
but this is just
the
I
pointing
mean,
and the
yeah.
management of the web of the server in terms of pointing domain names to the appropriate IP address. So the creation of the website itself, the writing of the code will be done by a different unit called the US UI or the Web Development Department. You know, the content we have here now is not the real website. It's just something to say hello world, just for us
No, I
to know
know,
that's
I know,
yeah,
I
exactly.
know. Well,
Mm.
what I know was at least, creating an IP that would direct you to a website or like a URI, a URI, what do you call those things again? So
Domain
it
name.
was
Everything we are doing here under Route 53 is related to DNS services.
domain name. Okay.
Domain name services, DNS. So
Understood.
if your question was, oh, is this what DNS is all about? Yes, this is what DNS is all about.
Understood. Understood.
Resolution of names to IP addresses under the category of, under these different policies that we are practicing. All right, let's practice one or two more, and then we'll move to something new. All right, so the next thing we want to see now is geolocation latency is the same thing. Failover. This is the one that really gave us, and this is really, really important because this is really important. Let's do it. So what does failover mean? Failover means we have two servers. All right, one is redundant. One is active, the other one is passive. So in the event that the active one fails, then traffic should automatically direct to the redundant one. So let us call the active one primary and call the redundant one secondary. So let us do it. I think we can still retain these two servers that we are using and just use them the same way.
And but at least we can change the names a bit so that it'll be easier to.
Okay, so let's call this one primary, and then let's call this one secondary. Uh, bear with me. Before we go too far and then we'll forget California because we are done with California. Let's quickly go and delete that server. And then we can focus on where's California? This is global. This is United States, Ohio. This is California. So we'll come here and we'll look at our dashboard. And then we see that we have one instance running. Then we'll come here and we see uh, instance terminate that instance terminate. All right, so there is nothing we have left here that will be built for. All right, so we can close that now and then focus on this one. Okay, so we have named one primary and the other one secondary. So let's go to Route 53 now and point our failover to this one. So we'll come to Route 53 right here, and we see again, we are done with this one. So we delete these records. So we can practice new records, delete those two. And then now we're going to practice new record, right? We are practicing failover. What does failover mean? All right, so anytime we type in this URL, then it should point us to the primary server. So let's get the IP address of the primary server. It should point us to that one. Control V. All right, so this is the endpoint, the final, yeah, the final destination. But this one we're setting failover, and this will be our primary. All right. However, always check this primary. Always check it to make sure that it is available. To always check it, we are going to do health check. You remember how we created health check the other day? It was so simple. So we do health check, always check it, which means anytime that you are not able to connect to this server for one reason or another, then I'm going to tell you what to do. Let's call this one our primary server. Always do health check for that. All right, and then we've created that. And then we'll now go back again, like we have done for the rest, create another one, again, failover, and then we'll now say next. The same failover, I forgot to do 1 minute for that one, we'll go and resolve it. Then define failover. And then we'll go back to this other secondary server, and we'll put the IP address, public IP address. We'll put the, where is it? Too many things open, bear with me. Let's close this one. I closed the wrong one. Okay, so it's to California, okay, Ohio. Okay, so the secondary, I was looking for the IP address for secondary. I copied that one. I present it to Route 53. Control V. And I say failover. This is the secondary for my failover. This one, there is no need to check the health check. Check the primary to know when it is done. And once it is done, then point it to the secondary. That's what we're saying here. You may want to call this one secondary. And then we'll define that, and then we'll create it. That's it. The same process. And that's what the note is saying here, that create two web servers, which we already have. We browse them to confirm that they're actually working individually. And then we'll create health check for the primary one. And then we'll go to the wizard, and then we'll take failover from the wizard, configure our 53A record to point to the primary one. Then create a second one, a second failover to point to the secondary one. That's what we just checked. Check that the health check is working fine. Test that the domain name is resolving to the primary using the command that I used. Is our health check working fine? Let's go and check. So, yeah, we're learning so many things now, just ensure we don't mix them up. So where's our health check? Come here. Health check is under Route 53. So I come to Route 53 and I see health check here. I say, are you checking the health? Something is unhealthy. Something is not working. So let's refresh. Which one is this one? You know what? I'm going to delete this health check and create a new one. Confirm deletion. Let's create a new health check. Create a new health check and call it health check 01. Right? It will be checking endpoint. Which server is it checking the health for? Let's check the health of our primary server. this one. Okay, I think I had another server there. Actually, I should be using. Okay, don't worry. So let's just go and I'll take this one. And I say, always check this guy, make sure it is healthy. If it's not healthy, then we'll put that one there. That's the IP address, right? Uh, dot public dot 16, yes. That's it. And then everything else is good. So next, create alarm. No, not at this time. Create head check. So this is our head check now. So currently it's unknown. Let us give 2 more minutes for that head check to begin to work. Now let us go and reconfigure what we configured earlier on for Route 53. Where's Route 53? So we came here and we said dashboard, and then we went there, and then this is our concern. And for primary, we said the head check that we use now, we've deleted it. So let's point to a new head check. So we'll come here and say 1 minute failover. So we'll come to, can you see head check here? Head check ID. So we'll come here and say, this is the new head check we just created. The old one is gone. So we attach the head check and say, you are the nurse. Always check this guy. Anytime he's down with fever, anything, let us know so that we'll not give him job anymore. All right. And the secondary is dormant so that anytime this one has problem with head check, it will be pointed to that. All right, so now let's go and check our head check. So to check head check, we'll come here and we'll say health checks. So we'll come here. Let us check health checkers. If we just give enough time for it to check this guy, you'll be able to tell us the position, the health position of that guy. Oh, look at it, it's telling
So,
us.
so this is the health check of the server, of the instance, right?
Yes, of the primary instance. So as of now, it's able to connect to the instance successfully. There is no problem, no headache, no fever, everything is okay. You see?
But if for whatever reason people cannot connect to
Oh
the
yeah, let's do
server,
that reason now. Let's do that reason now. So right now it's working. So let us browse our link now. So let's do the link, which is class what? Class practice.click.
let's practice.
All right, it is pointing to one server. Wow, wow, wow server. This is beautiful. Now let us create problem. Let us remove this server from operation. So let us go and remove that server from operation. How do you remove server from operation? You stop it now. So we'll click primary server and we'll say terminate or stop. So we'll say stop this instance. And we'll stop the instance. Now something has happened. That server is no longer
Okay.
working. All right. First of all, we'll wait for this health alert for this doctor to report that that server is no longer working though. All right. So it will take a while for that propagation to happen. And then if we just give a few more minutes, we should be able to see here that instead of success, it reports failure. It's no longer able to connect with that server. All right, let's give a few more minutes. And that's what the note is saying here. In fact, we can even, the easier way, check the head and then wait till it becomes unhealthy. All right. Give plenty of time for this to happen. It's not rush for the system to know that it's unhealthy. So right now it's still unhealthy. I mean, it's still healthy. So let's go back and continue to wait till it becomes unhealthy. So let's refresh. It's still healthy. I mean, this one is still reporting that it's healthy.
Mm.
It's still healthy. And if you want to know the details, you say check health checkers. All right, so, and that will be the final practice under that. I can't wait for this to become unhealthy so that we now see what now happens to the URL when this one becomes unhealthy. That's just what we want to check. Oh, failure. Look at it. It's beginning to fail now. No longer success.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no longer healthy. All right. So if we refresh this, we should begin to see shortly, but we're not waiting for that because things take time to adjust. All right. So now that it's failing, now all of our customers all over the world, they are still browsing our application. What happens now when they browse? So let's go and find out. If they now say click, class practice.click, they are still going to wow, wow, wow. But that wow, wow, wow is done. Look, that redirected them out of the wow, wow, wow to a different server. So that's the meaning of
I
failover.
see. Okay. Okay.
All right, awesome. So this was straightforward because I practiced beforehand, and it's just telling you exactly what the result will be. Once the configuration is complete and you verify that everything is working, you'll be able to see it live. If for some reason it's delayed, you cannot see it live, then seeing it from dig is just as good. All right. You understood all of that?
So far, yes.
All right.
Um,
So the note
yes.
has been updated with,
Mr. Please hold on 1 second, please.
okay.
Yeah, hello.
Yes. Okay. So are you back? So
I'm back.
let's move to something new. So part two. What I want to show you in this part two is this browsing that we are doing now. Can you
Mhm.
see? Not secure.
Okay, to make it HTTPS.
Yes. This is HTTP now. So to make it
Yes.
HTTPS so that it's secure,
Yes.
we need to do something. What is that thing that we need to do? We need to assign a certificate, SSL certificate. Sometimes it's also called TLS certificate. We need to
This
attach
is
that certificate.
something I always see. Certificate. I'm like, what do you mean by certificate?
Yeah. So most time when we say certificate without mentioning the type of certificate or anything, we by default we are talking about SSL certificate that will make it HTTPS. All right, so let's go and generate one. AWS is the father of everything cloud, so we don't need to go to a third party to generate our certificate. So if AWS has this service called AWS Certificate Manager. We'll just use it to generate our certificate that we can now attach to our domain name so that it will now carry HTTPS. All right, let's go and do that. So we go to AWS. So we'll come here. Of the thousands of services available here, we're going to say Certificate Manager. Can you see it here? Certificate Manager.
Mhm.
All right, so we say request a certificate from AWS, a public certificate next for the domain classpractice.click. That's all. We're doing it for just one domain. We'll leave all other things as it is. The default setting, DNS validation recommended. You can also say they can email you the certificate and then you use it by yourself. But for this one, I'm just going to say, since I'm not exporting the certificate to a third party, I'm using it here. Just go ahead and validate it for me. And then I send my request. All right. So my request has been successfully sent to AWS to issue me certificate. And then the
This
validation
is
is, yeah, that's it. That's it. Validation is pending. All right. The next thing I want to do is create records. AWS, help me use this uh, certificate and the credentials you are sending here. Help me send it to, help me send it to my domain name here. and make it available here. That's the next thing I want to do. Let's quickly remove this. We'll practice with this so that it's not confusing. So we are done with that practice. So we say delete those two. All right. So we have only 2 records here. Now let's come back here now and say AWS, this certificate we've generated here, go and put it there in Route 53. So we say create record in Route 53. All right. And then we say create record. Again, that's it. It's done. It's done.
Okay, so we
So
go
the
to
set.
so we'll just click on that create records in our 53, and that's it.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll come here now. I will refresh our view here. We see that this other line has been added. AWS has sent it to us. Has sent our certificate to this domain name. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I have to watch this video. I mean, I understand it, but I have to watch the video again just because. I mean,
Yeah, you
these
can
are
keep
things
watching
that
the
you see
video.
every day. Yeah, that you just
Yeah.
never really understand. But okay, but it's good to know how this certificates manager works.
Mm-hmm. And then after a while, it changes from pending to it's not issued. Certificate is not issued, and we are good to go. We can start using our certificate now. And from now on, once you start using it, instead of showing not secure, it will now be showing the locked padlock, which is secure because
So,
uh,
so, so certificates is what secures your domain name, right? So yeah,
yes, in terms of when you say secure, it wraps the HTTPS around your domain name. Yeah. Because when you say secure, secure is very wide. There are so many things in terms of security. But specifically, this is the one that builds SSL or TLS around the domain name so that we now have we call this kind of security that you just mentioned now, we call it security in transit. We'll see it shortly. All right, so this is what we just saw, and this was what you saw there that it may just say there. It may take a few hours for that to happen, but in our own case, it just happened within a few minutes. And then once validated, our SSL certificate is now ready for use. All right, so as we progress in the training, we are going to use this one day and we're going to call it and we're going to use it and you're going to say, oh, we're now browsing HTTPS, no longer HTTP. All right. All right, let's move on to a new topic. AWS
you
storage
said that you wanted
services.
to. I know you said you wanted to. I don't attend to other things. I mean, being that's a new topic, I don't know. I'm just saying, if you want, we can stop here so you can do what you
No,
have to
no,
do,
no,
and
no.
then we can.
Stop there. There's so much to do in AWS. Let's not lag
Okay.
behind. Let's go. Yeah, we'll complete our 3 hours, or at least complete what we need to do today.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. Thank you for consideration. All right. So the next thing we want to do now is AWS storage. And then now this is a big topic in terms of what to remember in security. Okay. So AWS storage, AWS RDS security best practices, security. Yeah, security person, technical overview. So data at rest security. We really need this understanding. So let's take our time. These are where interview questions come from. So let me explain all of this security. So let's go to
Okay.
page. Okay. So we have our cloud, and in our AWS cloud, we have our database, we have our application server, we have our web server. We have other kinds of resources and infrastructure everywhere on our AWS. All right. So this is our web server, our app server, our database. And then this is a client that is trying to access our cloud facility through the internet. Okay. Now we must ensure, one, for security, that the data that we have here, all of the personal identifiable information of EU citizens, in terms of their credit card, even American citizens in terms of their social security number, they are safe and maybe not social security number because they will never have us. Credit card information. We must ensure that they are safe and they are in compliance with the appropriate cybersecurity framework and regulation, that no third party has access to this data. So that is a different topic on its own, security. However, the thing we are taking from here is that even while the data is sitting here, it is not moving anywhere. It's just sitting right here. It is compulsory. It's not optional. That we do something to ensure that even if somebody mistakenly, which should not even happen, but let's just say it happens. Maybe these are Russians and they have all of the technology, so
The
that they,
Russians.
at least as we see in movies, maybe not in reality, and they are able to access this database, they should not be able to read the records. The one thing that is able to do that is called encryption.
Yes.
Correct. So the idea of encrypting your data, even while it is sitting here in your database on your server, it's not even moving, no, it's not even living here, there or anything. That idea is called server-side encryption, otherwise called uh, encryption at rest. Encryption at rest. And that's what we're seeing here. Encryption at rest. Encryption at rest. Hmm? So we must, as part of our data protection, as part of security, as a security person, we must ensure encryption at rest. So we must lock the data even while it is sitting in the server, nobody is fetching it. To lock the data, we need encryption key. Most of the time, we just leave the generation of the encryption key, management of the encryption key, we leave it to AWS under the topic called AWS Key Management Service, KMS. So even though we're encrypting it, it is not up to us to go and look for a padlock, to go and look for this, to go and look for, we just outsource it to a third party, or we just leave it with AWS to say, help us manage the encryption of our data that we have put there. So practically, we are going to see how this works. All of these things are just click of buttons. What I'm going to click in order for AWS to do the encryption for us. All right, so that's that. We also have what we call encryption must be enabled at an instance creation that will host our database. All right. Now, we'll talk about databases. Normally, we have the primary database, and then we have read replicas. So as part of security, as part of ensuring that we are compliant with the best practice, security best practices around our data, now, if we have this scenario, and then we have
So okay, so this the purple line across around the storage.
the what? Okay, the
The
line, yeah.
purple line around the
Yeah.
um what's that again?
No,
It's
no,
not the firewall, Abby.
I'm just using it to,
Okay.
yeah, you could call it firewall if you want, yes. But in this
Oh,
case, I just use it to
okay.
emphasize that this is what I'm talking about so that you can know.
Okay, 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 okay.
Yeah.
Can you also call it like a security group
Uh,
or just firewall or
firewall will
not
be
or
better.
neither?
Firewall will
Firewall,
be
okay,
better.
okay,
But if
okay.
we're relating that to a network, then yes, we'll call it security group. But since we are relating it
Okay.
to database,
Storage.
into storage,
Mm.
then maybe not security.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing I want to bring your attention to is that we may have a global company where, okay, so let's draw that one outside of this. So we have this global company. Some people are in this part of the world. We have another server in this part of the world. Africa people, for proximity and low latency, the server should be close to our customers in Africa. They should have a replica of that server close to our customers in Asia. Our American people should have a server, web server, and then all of this. So, but our database is one. There's only one database. You cannot have replica databases now. Otherwise, somebody will take money from one database and then the other database will not even see. So database is one. However, even though this database is one, we should have replicas of these databases here. So they are only able to read, you're only able to read from this database. But the real database that you are not able to, that you can write to, the real one, the primary one, will be this one. Will be this one. Right? So in that case, we call all of these read replica. Read replica. They are not the real thing, read replica, but this is the real thing. This is the write. Anybody that wants to steal your database now, they cannot even steal this one. But if they steal it, they can't do anything with it. This is the real one. But they are just replicated here so that the people that are connected to this server are able to access. Because without your database, your application is not complete now. That's the real. For Uber, this is the list of all drivers, all passengers, all of their payment systems. So without that, what is Uber without the database? And the same for all other applications. So this is the concept of read replica. So this read replica will be replicated everywhere there is the web server that we talked about earlier on to complement the role of the web server to give a full application. So these are replicated globally. Whereas only
Sorry,
one
silly
actual
question.
database.
So the web server have the instances, right?
Yes, you could call any instance is anything physical that you can set up. So web server
Okay,
is an
okay.
instance, database is an instance, Elastic Load Balancer is an instance, and so on and so forth. They are all
Okay.
instances. Yeah. All right. So that is where we are getting this idea of primary relational database and then the read replica. And then we must put, again, these are just click of buttons, no big deal. It's just the understanding that it's big deal. Then we must ensure that
Snapshots
backup,
and the last time now.
exactly. You remember snapshot. That backup
But
is,
but backup and snapshots
they are two different
is
things.
it the
So
same thing?
backup of the database will be live so that in case one, okay. So in this case, the backup of your primary database will be your replicas. So as something is changing here in the primary, it is being replicated to the read so that the people in Japan already know that something has happened here. But it's not the same as snapshot. Snapshot is when you now take, usually manually, a snapshot of this so that you can now by yourself, for example, use it to create another volume like you did in our first exercise. So just think about it. They are not exactly the same thing, even though they play those similar. All right. So AWS uses AES 256 as the encryption key, we said AWS key management system. So the standard that they use to generate this padlock is usually AES 256 encryption. So that's what they use to store data in your disk. And this is really compliant with all of the security standards, whether it's from HIPAA, from GDPR, from any, yes. All right. So once RDS instance is encrypted, then automatically all of the snapshots that you generate from that primary RDS, or of the replica, anything that you generate from that encrypted RDS is also automatically encrypted. All right. Now, that is about encryption at rest, server-side encryption. There is also encryption in transit. So what does that mean? Encryption is in transit means even as the database is moving, this client here has just requested something from his laptop. Even as the database, as data is moving all the way from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, over the internet, and then eventually the requested record shows here on this laptop on the screen. That data is encrypted all the way. It is not only encrypted while it is sitting here, it is encrypted all the way so that if a third party, we call it middleman, attempts to hijack that data here, it's going to find that that particular record is encrypted. It will show as jargon. You will not be able to see the content.
So is it the
So this
same
kind of
with
encryption is what we call, is what we are doing with HTTPS. The S there is the encryption, the security.
actually?
So what makes this possible is our SSL certificate that we generated earlier on, also called TSN.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I guess that's the question you were about to ask.
No, well, I'm gonna ask. Okay, so data at rest is done by the KMS,
Yes,
but transit is done by SSL TLS. Okay,
correct.
so many things to remember.
Yes. And it's your ability to remember all of this and put them all together to make sense. That is what makes you the
The chief architect.
yeah. As for the implementation, you can always look up things to say. But once you understand the concept enough to relate them, or we call it the big picture, then everything else is simple.
So at the end of the day, that's role of an architect, just looking at the
Yes,
big picture. Uh,
yes. And then you can now delegate. Right now, maybe you are working as as an operations guy, but you, with all of this knowledge, you will rise to the level where you understand the big picture, and then you are now delegating people under you to do the specifics.
Honestly, well, that's my long-term goal anyway, the
Of
big picture.
course, of course, nobody wants to remain operations person
Mm.
for 15 years. You want to get to a level where you understand it so much that you now have people under you that you can go and do this now. Even when they come back to you to say, I cannot do it, say, what do you mean? This is, you even teach them this, and they are wondering, this guy, because you have done, you've risen from bottom to top, so you know what you're talking about. All right. So
Mm.
another way to ensure security, apart from this, which is specifically about securing data, is, like we're going to see later towards the end of this course, that another way to ensure security is when you have a network, when you're in cloud, and you create your network in cloud, like we'll be doing, but you are not aware yet. It is a very good practice. It's a common practice to divide this network into two so that one part of the network is public and the other part of the network is private. And then you put things that you don't ever want the world to see that are so secret to you. For example, your data. You put them in the private network. All right? And that's where you were asking, this color that I used to draw something around, do I mean by does that mean the firewall? Yes, you could say that. So this private means that nobody can come in from outside to access this. And this is what is really practical. So it's a security measure to have private subnets within your networks. So the one that is public is still secure, but it's less secure compared to the one that is private. So here you may have your web server, which the whole world is able to access from wherever they are. In other words, the part that holds your website or your application. But the real data that drives that application, that drives the Tesla car, is not the beautiful interface. It is the data that is stored here. This one is kept specially away from public access. And that is right. So the introduction of that private subnet so that you can now put your things there is a level of security. Compared to you have a house and then the city room is the public place that when visitors come to your house, they stay in the city. And then your bedroom is the private place. So if you want to keep something really secure from your visitors, you put it in your bedroom. But whatever you want the
Mm.
visitors, whatever you want to show off, you want visitors to see, and that one, there's nothing to secret about it, then you leave it in the city, the living room. So that's the concept of private subnet. And then in IT, in all of these things we are discussing, like we mentioned casually earlier, I'm emphasizing it now again. You may already know as a security person, the core infrastructure service that you want to protect by all means is not even your server. It is your database. Therefore, your most private room is where you have reserved for your database to be stored, to save. All right, does that make sense that databases are usually deployed in private subnet for security reasons?
Yes, yes. Yes, yes, it makes sense.
All right, beautiful. And then when we say we deploy database, we are going to look at this later practically. But for now, know that after we have deployed databases in the most secure place and we say nobody can ever come in, we do still have to make arrangements with a special machine called Batron host, so that even for us, and occasionally our technical guys at whoever it is, maybe not, anybody that wants to come into this room now can only come in through this special security server called Batron host. It is only through here. All other places fortified with firewall. No, nobody can. It's only through this
Yeah.
place that somebody can attempt to
So
come in.
Bastion is the access into your private subnet.
Correct. That's it. Sometimes, in fact, most of the time, in fact, all of the time, the only access. Because if there is any other access, then why would I say insecure? This is the only access. So at some point in this course, you are going to learn how to set up Batch host and configure it, and then use it to access private network. That is the last part of the course. It's called Virtual Private Cloud. So in cloud, in AWS, we call networks Virtual Private Clouds. So when I say VPC, I'm basically talking about our organization's network that is resident in cloud.
Okay.
Another level of security is access control. That is where the security group that you mentioned come into play, putting that firewall around our different resources, whether it's our web server, our RDS. So we do access control, all right? Who is able to come into the server that is hosting our database, what ports are open, what IP addresses are blocked, and so on and so forth. All of those is about controlling access to our database. And then finally, another way, the most common way that everybody would know, especially if it's not related to database, is role-based access control, where we say, okay, we created 2 user accounts. To one user A, we have given access to be able to see the database so that they can only read. To another user B, we have given access so that they are not only able to read, they are now also able to create tables in the database. And maybe they are also able to delete records from the database. They're able to read and write to the database. So different levels of access to different users. All of that is controlled. You are the IAM engineer as under IA using. So only yesterday I completed security, I done security class with somebody, just one person, special training. And then we're looking at interview questions, and we're just doing interview preparation. And then I asked the question, and then he gave some of these answers. So today, when I compiled this, I just shared this with him. I said, look at the answers you gave yesterday. They're actually standard answers. So he talked about virtually everything here. When I asked him the question about how do you secure your network, and then how do you secure your database, he gave all of the answers here. So I just shared with him that, look, oh, the answers you give, this is actually how they relate. They are actually complete. In interview condition, you may not remember all 5, but even if it's just 3 or 2 that you can remember, as long as you explain them well, it's correct.
You got the
Oh,
job though.
sorry? No, he has not. We just completed the training, so that was the
Oh,
last
I see.
class.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So he saw his experience just like you are not completely new to IT. So I'm confident that he will get the job once he starts to apply. But he
Amen.
still wants to do one more course before he starts applying for job.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So having said all of that, if I'm not rushing, if everything is making sense, now let's do a demo now of how all of this is implemented in a real life scenario in cloud. What do
Okay.
we do when setting up a database to ensure that all of these things mentioned here are implemented. So to do that, we are now going to go live into cloud, AWS, and attempt to set up our database. All right. To do that, we just take a quick break, and then we'll take a deep breath, and then come back, and then we'll go and do things practically.
Okay. See you in 15.
See you in 15, yeah. All right, welcome back to class.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's go to AWS and then see what RDS looks like. So we'll come here. We're done with Route 53. We're done with this. And then we'll come here. And then we'll go
It seems
to,
like you know, the storage. I mean, the storage is more important than Route 53 in terms of job description.
I have no idea. I think everything under the curriculum is important because they
No,
will
no,
test you.
no. Okay, okay. I didn't say that
Yes,
it
the
wasn't important.
interview
I'm
would,
just saying that.
yes, it's really hard to
Yeah.
say which one. It just depends on on what you are employed to do.
Interview.
Some people there may be three, four, five solutions architects, and then your job role may just seem to emphasize S3 buckets, whereas somebody else's job role as a solutions architect
Oh,
is emphasizing Route 53. So yeah, it depends on. Okay, so Aurora and RDS. It used to be called RDS, but now it's Aurora and RDS. So Aurora is okay, so we could come here and we'll go to dashboard and then we'll go to databases. Okay, we don't have an existing database. So we're going to say create a database. And then we are going to see the different database engines that are supported in AWS. All right. So of all of these, one, two, three, 8 database engines, Aurora is the one that belongs to AWS. So this is AWS owned database engine. So that is why they are emphasizing it because we are doing AWS. All right.
so what's the
So
difference between my SQL and PostgreSQL?
you said which one?
What's the difference between the two? My SQL and
No, they are
PostgreSQL.
data. It's hard to be comparing them one by one unless you just add ChatGPT. But they are all different databases by different organizations. So which means each of them can store records that you can now save as tables in your database in the RDS. So it just depends on which one. I mean, the team will sit and agree on, okay, based on this is the one that we want to deploy, or this is the most suitable for the particular application that they are deploying. For me, the father of all databases still remain Oracle. All right. However, we have Oracle may be too complex for a particular kind of project. Maybe just a simple project of maybe 500 records. Then why do you want to go and use Oracle that is meant for millions of records? In that case, we just
Okay.
want to use Postgre or simple, or maybe the application, third-party application you want to deploy. It's more MySQL compliant than something that is very, very robust that would, again, house billions of records. So all right. So it just
Mm.
depends on criteria like that. How simple, what are you using it for, what application. For example, if you are going to use Node.js to develop your application, it is likely to be more compatible with Microsoft because it's Microsoft native applications and databases than it will be with Oracle and IBM. Therefore, you want to go with MySQL or Microsoft SQL Server in place of, yeah. But bottom line is these are the different engines that it supports. If we say create easy one, then it's going to be really simple and then we'll be done in 2 minutes. Let's create the complex one where we'll now see so many complexities and try to understand them. So we go with standard create. And for this one, let us take Aurora as
Mm.
okay, this one you're asking. So Aurora that
Yeah,
is
no,
more
asking,
compliant
yeah.
with MySQL and Aurora that is more compliant with Postgre. Depending, if for example, I'm coming from a background of PostgreSQL, and then I must use Aurora because it belongs to AWS, then I may want to
Mm.
do this. Yeah. All right. So whichever I take, I just take one. Uh, yes, it's the same Aurora. Okay, I'm seeing this here. What about this? Okay, maybe we tried. Oh, easy create. No, 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 not easy create. So let's go for Aurora and then we'll go, yes. And then we say engine version. Of the many versions that Aurora supports, which of them are we using? So we just take any one. Again, everything we are taking here, it's not from our head. It's already on paper as part of the
Mm.
requirement for the application that we are supporting. So we
So is the
have,
engine version like the image for the instance?
yes, the RDB image that will be deployed for Aurora. All right. So these are the different ones. Again, it doesn't have to be the latest one because the application
Mm.
that you are supporting may have been developed 2 years ago. And as of 2 years ago, this was the latest one there, and this is the one that was used. So you may not necessarily want to use the latest. But of course, if it's a new one, of course, you may. Again, this is not something from your head. You would have defended this at the meeting. Ah, why are we not using the latest? And then the database guys, the experts, they will tell you for this reason, we want to stick with this version. And then you note it down. Everybody notes it as part of the final requirement document that is uploaded. Everything is there. And then you just look at the document and say, okay, this is the version we are using. Enable RDS extended support. What does that mean? Amazon RDS extended support is paid offering. I'm not interested in paid. You are charging enough money already. All right, but if your organization says, oh, we want that, of course, we'll click that. All right. Then the next thing is, I was setting up this relational database, this database engine, as well as the instance. Are we setting them up for production environment, or are we just setting it up for learning, for training, or for only development environment? If we take the development environment, the features that are available will not be as robust as if we take production environment. All right. So maybe we take production now. After all, just showing you what's possible.
Wow.
So compared to 200, we are going to 1,000. We are not even start. I'm not even done though. Per month. Okay. So the next you want to do here is database cluster identifier. Enter a name for your DB cluster. The name must be unique and blah, blah, blah. So we are going to create a database cluster, and then we are going to call it our DB cluster, for example, or to give it a name. All right. So credentials, master username, type a login ID for the administrator user for this database instance, the server that is hosting this database. All right. So me, I'll normally do manager as a username. Create credentials management. AWS, manage in AWS secret manager or self-managed. Do you want to present your own auto-generate password? Okay, so this one is AWS will manage the credentials for me, generate it and save it, and then I can simply refer to it, or I can create my own credential that I'll give to the database people so that they can use it to log in. All right. So for this one, I prefer to have the credentials to give to them so that they can use it to log in. AWS, Amazon RDS can generate a password for you, and then you can specify, or you can specify your own password. No, I don't want you to generate password. I want to generate my own password, and then master password for this username would be, let's do the iTan 2024 hash. Confirm that password. The iTan 2024. All right, so we're making progress. Storage, cluster storage configuration. All right. So what kind of storage do you want? Do you want the one that is optimized, very, very fast, or the cost-effective pricing for many applications with moderate, not very high, but moderate IOPS? input output is just moderate. Maybe we take the, if we compare prices, that one will be more expensive, 984. If we compare to this, 201. You see? So we're looking at
Yeah, but I guess
cost optimization.
yeah, but I guess it's a balance between are we trying to save money or are we trying to get the best performance?
Yes, so all of this would have been debated and agreed upon during the 3 months
Yeah,
of
yeah,
pre
yeah.
this stage meeting. Yeah, so whatever they agree, that's what we are going to take. All right, for this course, we'll just take down. It doesn't reduce the facility that's available to us. It's just all right. So instance configuration. Instance is about the hardware, the server that is hosting the database. All right. So the database instance configuration options below are limited to, okay, so what do we have? Serverless, memory optimized, bustable. So what kind of instance do we want? Do we want the one that is memory optimized? Do we want the one that is bustable classes? I think this one will be more expensive. And then we can take one of these. What does the price? Oh, it's even cheaper. Okay. Estimated monthly cost. Okay. So we can say instead of memory, whatever it is, okay, we're just playing around. We're not really. So, like you said, depending on what is agreed, include previous generation classes. Maybe you want even old-fashioned one that are no longer that they have removed. They call it previous generation classic. Or maybe just say, okay, should be only the one that are optimized for this purpose. Since this one is cheaper, let's just use this as the availability and durability. Multi-AZ deployment. So it's saying deploy database, this database engine, this instance that we are creating, and deploy this in multiple availability zone for high availability. This is what we said the original one will be called the primary, and then the other ones will be
Mhm.
called replica or reader node. So they are replicas of the real one, not the real one. Create an Aurora replica or reader node in a different AZ recommended for scaled availability or also for high availability. Or you can say, you know what, that'll be too expensive. Don't even bother to create any replica. I'm okay with the primary one. And all of the delay that will happen when somebody in China is trying to connect to our server and have to wait for the data to come from our America database, it's okay. I don't care. It's fine. Okay. But when I say, no, 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 I don't want that case. I want this replicated globally or as much as possible globally so that everybody, latency will be low for everyone. Please, let's note, well, we may not create this one, but if we wanted to create it, we note our username and our password. All right. Let's see, write it down. You never can. So type a login ID for the master user of your DB instance. So it will be manager and then the item. Let me write that down. Manager, the item 2024. DB instance login credentials. Okay. Uh, Cluster configuration, Aurora standard. Yes, so we said, yeah, any of those kind of machines will fine. And then let us create replicas. All right, connectivity, compute resources. Don't connect to an EC2 compute resource. So remember that the database will be inside where? Our
Mhm.
private subnet. So we need to be able to connect from outside. Or basically, the database will be connected to some other instances. For example, the instance that is hosting our programs, our logic, our codes. All right. So do you want to connect to an EC2 instance so that later we can use that for? Don't connect to an EC2 instance or connect to an EC2 instance. I would say connect to an EC2 instance to save me the body. Databases, in fact, nothing in IT works in isolation. They're always connected to something else. So which instance do I want to connect it to? Do I already have an instance? Oh, looks like I have an instance already. I don't remember that I have an instance. Let's check. EC2. EC2 instance. Dashboard. Oh, have one instance. Okay. So I don't have an instance here called secondary. Okay. So it's going to ask me which instance do I want to connect this data. If I have a list of 7 instances to show all of them, then I'll take the one that I need it to help me connect the database server to. Some VPC settings can be changed when a compute resource is added. All right. Are you ready? Once this is done, you cannot change some things. I say, okay, fine, no problem. Actually, maybe I should create my own VPC, but we have not done VPC, so this is not the place to introduce it. So I take that and I say, network type, IP version 4, all right? Of course, we don't have a choice. To use dual stack mode, make sure that you associate an IP version 6 CIDR block with all right, so basically it's IP version 4. Virtual private network, we've not done that. But right now, we actually, even though we've not done it, we're actually using a virtual private network already. We're using the default network in cloud. Later on, we'll learn how to create our own. So there is no option to take anything other than use the default. So that's why that one is highlighted. After a database is created, you cannot change its VPCO. Are you sure? Yes, I'm okay. Don't worry, just create it. All right. Now, database subnet group. Choose the DB subnet group. The DB subnet group defines which subnets and IP ranges the database cluster can use. All right. Don't worry about it. Just say automatic setup. Handle that one by yourself. Will this database be publicly available or privately available? We said we are creating for production environment.
No, I think
Let's
we changed it to standard, right? Or
let's
to
look.
just dev and test.
Where is it again? Let's confirm.
See the templates. Just
Okay, yes. So
okay,
it's production environment. So for
production.
production
Okay.
environment, we don't have a choice but to abide by the best security practice. So we're not given the option to say we want to do this in a public
Mm-hmm.
app. All right. The ideal thing is to say it must be in a private network so that nobody can access it. So it's not publicly available. All right. VPC security group, the one you were calling firewall, but that's at the VPC level, not at the instance level. Create a new VPC security group, choose an existing one. Additional VPC security group. Do I have one? VPC. Yeah, I'll just use the default VPC security group. I think that will allow whatever I set in the default, that's okay. But I could create my own VPC. When we create our VPCs, we'll create our own security group around that. But for now, let us just use the default settings that will allow all traffic to flow so that we can practice anything we want to practice. All right, so otherwise we could create a new security group. All right, I hope you are following this. These are the things that we said,
Yeah.
yes. Just the click of them will enable all of those discussions we had earlier on. Certificate authorization, yes. So do we have any certificate that we are importing to this? We have one that is expiring this time. We have this. Using a server certificate provides an extra layer of security by validating that the connection is being made to Amazon database and so on and so forth. All right, so we talked about certificate and how it enables security, especially at security in transit. All right, so you can use any of this. RDA, CA. So these are the ones that came by default. Yeah, can use any of them. Okay, so additional configurations. We are opening the port for database port. This is the port of communication for Postgre MySQL. Okay, so that is the port through which that particular database communicates. So we ensure that that port is left open. Read replica, write forwarding. Turn your local write forwarding. Issues write operations from read DB instances within the same DB cluster. Read replica write forwarding. Read replica write forwarding to. Okay. So issues write operations from reader DB instances. So it's saying that for the replicas, they are read-only databases. But from there, you can issue write operations to send it to the main database, the primary database. The real want to say, I have something to write into database here, but I cannot do it. Can you do it from head office, headquarters? All right. So if we don't turn this on, then it will not even be able to send that message forward. All right. It will have to be only anything write will be exclusively initiated and implemented only at the primary database. All right, so that's just extra, nothing, no big deal. Task, database authentication. Password authentication is always active for your database engine. You can also turn on additional authentication methods for your database below. Do I want additional authentication methods? No, I don't. I'll just use the password authentication that I set up earlier on. It's kind of complex, so I'll leave that. Monitoring. Database Insight Advanced, Database Insight Standard. In other words, I want to be able to monitor, to see what is happening in the database, what is coming in, what is going out, and so on and so forth. So I say Database Insight Standard. Performance Insights. Enable Performance Insights so I can see the CPU usage. Okay, with Performance Insight Dashboard, you can visualize the database load on your Amazon RDS instance load and filter the load by weights, SQL statement, host. So basically, you're able to see in visual format what is happening in the database and you can filter what you want to see. Because the whole thing that you can see may not be, the screen may not be enough to see all of them at once. All right, so enable performance settings, retention period. Retain whatever you are showing me now for 7 days. And if you want more than 7 days for 21 months, you can take any of that and then you'll be charged. Because the more data you save in cloud, the more you are charged. And for your
Yeah.
encryption, AWS key management key. All right, you are saying, I'm using AWS key management, or no, I don't have my own key. I'm an expert in cryptography. I've generated my own key. So you enter your own key here that it will use for encryption. But if you don't have that, you can just say AWS handle that for me. And AWS will generate and use it. You can't change the key management key after you have created it too. All right. All right. So that's where that one is enabled. Additional monitoring settings. We already said this one is enough for monitoring. So I mean for my own purpose. But of course, if your organization wants, you can do additional. Enable enhanced monitoring. OS metrics. These are just additional features. Okay, let's just see what monitoring role for OS default. Log exports. You should be able to all the logs that are generated relating to audit, relating to error, relating to general, or whatever it is that you want. All of them should be exportable. All right. Select the log types to publish to Amazon CloudWatch so that from Amazon CloudWatch, you can now monitor and see all of these log types. Or if you are not interested in all of them, you are interested in only one or two, then select the ones that you're interested in. All right, all of this will be forwarded to CloudWatch, and then you are now able to watch the entire cloud performance from exactly. IAM role that is grayed out for production. DevOps Guru, turn on DevOps Guru. What does that mean? DevOps Guru for RDS automatically detects performance anomalies for database instances and then provides recommendations. Sounds good. All right, why not? Why don't I use it? Oh, okay, you are charging me. No wonder. You are charging me additional fee for the use of that service. All right. If the organization feels that all of the logs that we have here, in addition to the DevOps expert that we have and the security guys, they're able to do all of this. So we use rather save that money to pay their salary than enable that, and they can disable that. Otherwise, they say, okay, that's a good service. But if you say yes to every service that comes your way, then your price is going up. Anyway, additional configuration. And then we can say database option, initial database name. Why not? Let's give it initial database name and say our database. But what we had earlier on was database instance. DB cluster parameter group. We'll just leave that default one. Fail over priority. So in case this fails, then is there a particular priority? Is there a particular one that you want it to fail over to? The fail is already taken care of automatically. All right, so you don't have to create the fail over. However, if there a particular tier that you want it to fail over to, so we're fine with just making sure that when our database fails, Amazon has got our back. That's what Aurora is for. All right, so we'll do all of those settings, and then by this configuration and by answering all of these questions, as a look at backup retention period. The backup is already happening automatically, and then it will be retained for 1 day. That's too short now. When you back up, retain it for maybe 30 days or so. All right. And then copy tags to snapshot, create snapshot. Encryption is automatically enabled. Enable encryption using the key management generated above default key management. All right. All right. So that's where you do encryption. That's where you don't even have to enable backup. It's already automatically done. All right. Backtrack maintenance is already. How do I know all of this? The note says that Amazon Aurora is native to. Did I remove that part of the note? Yes, I think I did. Because the advert and the advantages of Amazon Aurora were really too much, so I had to remove all of the. So by default, it's already taken care of. In fact, when we say that a service is managed, it means that you don't do anything in addition. Everything you already need in terms of backup, reminder, this, that, even the ones that you are not aware of, it's already being done on your behalf. That's the meaning of managed service. Nothing to worry about. Just do the settings and select what you need in addition to those default settings. So here we are not trying to say create backup for us. No, it's already automatically covered. All right. So that's it. Once we answer all of those questions, now then we have taken care of all of these issues that we described here. All of this. We've taken care of them by filling that form.
So this is all. So this is all on the create database, right?
Under RDS. Around RDS. So if I come here, before we go, let's just click create here so that at least we know that everything we have selected is actually working and not just so the billing is just an estimate. It could go higher. So deletion protection. This was the one that was set my time. Say, anytime I want to mistakenly delete this, don't let it delete because this is my production environment. So I don't want any mistake. So that one is highlighted. Maintenance window. There's preference. So it should happen when I have the least traffic on my network. And this will usually be maybe Mondays from 11 p.m., whatever that time is. All right, so you configure that according to. the agreement. All right, so we do all of this and then we say create database. So if we have done this configuration right, then the database will create. So the fact that this database is creating now means that everything is good. So the instance is created and then the cluster is created. Instance one of it's being created. Yes. So we are good. Yeah, I can take your question.
Does he have you know children?
You said who asked you?
What does he have? You know how they say in parents and children in IT world.
Oh, okay,
So
okay, yeah. Our our DB cluster is the name of the cluster. So cluster means that, like you put it, there are children underneath. So these are the instances. For example, the instance, the database itself, and the instance that we are connecting it to. That's what we have here.
mm,
So this is the cluster made up of a reader. No, not the instance that we're connecting it to. Sorry. This is the reader that we said it should create. We said create replicas as readers across. So we have the
mhm.
main database, and then we have the replicas that are created of the database. All right, so this is the reader instance, this is the reader instance, and the database will be somewhere in there, the primary. Two instances. Wow, this is a lot of resources.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we just want to ascertain that we can create database. Nothing to do with it right now. Successfully created the database called our cluster, our DB cluster O1. And that database is made up of the primary one and two secondary ones called read instances. All right, so let's delete this and create another kind of database. One more kind of database. And then maybe SQL this time, or what are we practicing with next time? Anson RDB, yeah. It's not, there were so many questions, so couldn't have just taken a picture of that and put here. But at least this gives us an idea what and what we need to complete. And then we have also seen instance of, apart from this, which is outside of that, we have seen instance of, maybe not in one place, to be honest, not in one place, but we have done that somewhere else. We'll do, this one was already done in the background. Every time we create especially when we said it should not be publicly available, this one was already done for
Mhm.
us. Yeah. All right. So that is it. So if we come here now, if we refresh, and then is it ready now? Is it completely done? If we refresh, yeah, it looks ready. Then if we attempt to delete, if we come there and say action, delete, I don't think delete will be there now because just like with directories, you have to delete what is inside first. So we start from the bottom, take that one, and then we say delete. And then we type delete me, and then that one will go. So it's deleting that one. While that one is deleting, we'll come here as well and we'll say delete the read only. All right, so now there are no, did you see delete? Then delete. This database has deletion protection. Okay, before I even delete that one. Okay, so what about this one? All right, so this database has deletion
Mm,
protection.
yeah. We
Yeah,
click
so
that deletion.
yes. So let us go back there now and look at, actually you can click from here. And while that one is still deleting, let us go to what we can look for deletion protection. Let's go from here. And then what can we configure our database? Let's go back to dashboards, databases, this database. I think modify the database. All right, so we'll come back to all of these settings that we have. And then specifically, we're looking for, where did we look at it? Enable deletion protection. We disable that. And then we say, apply this immediately. All right, so we have removed the protection. And now we can attempt to delete it. We just refresh. And then we see for that database, we now say delete. It's no longer protected, so we can now do delete. All right. So this is the stage I was at when we started class. All right, so let's do one more database. Because we are doing AWS, we had to do Aurora. Which other one can we do now? Creation of RDS. Let's just do anyone. But there's one that says we have assignment with one. RDS EC2. Okay, MySQL. Let's see if we can try this now. I've not really tried it on my own, but no, let's not experiment. Everything has worked smoothly. Let's not spoil it with something that will not work. Let me practice that on my own first. Let me practice it before I bring it to class. All right, so let's go back there and just do one more database so at least you can claim the experience that yes, I can create MySQL or something like that. This one is still it's still deleting. Do I also have to delete this? So if we click that and say action and say delete, proceeding with this action will delete the cluster with all its content and can affect resources. Are you sure? Retain automated backups. Don't retain. Who will pay for them? To avoid accidental deletion, provide. To confirm delete, type delete me. Delete me. And then the cluster that is hosting and holding the resources is now being deleted. And then our DB cluster 01 cluster is being deleted. Yeah. Once that is deleted, we have a clean slate, and then we can now try another database. And then after this, the next thing we'll try, now that we know how to set up databases, will be how to connect our EC2 to our database. We're not database administrators, but let's just I've not really practiced that before. But let's just have a peep at, okay, we actually do have a database because we're able to connect to it and we can prove that, yes, look at it. All right, that will be just taking the training a bit further. And then that will give you the confidence.
Is that today or that's on Monday?
And that will be a different time. But for now, before we close, let's just do one more database. And then later we can look at that other practical that I just mentioned.
You said that the Oracle one was very complex.
No, we're not the administrators now. We're just setting up the database. So we can go ahead and
Okay.
actually set up the database. Well, as for the creation of the tables, the setting up the relationship between the tables, and then managing the databases, we'll leave that to the developer. In fact, let us create Oracle. Creating Oracle in this should not be harder than doing with Aurora. Okay, let's just believe that this one will complete on its own. Let's continue. So we'll come back here and we'll say create database. And the most common database would be MySQL and all of that. But for once, let us create Oracle. So we'll come to Oracle and then we'll say database management type Amazon RDS. Okay, let's just go through it. So we take Oracle. RDS fully managed. All of them are fully managed. So all RDSs are fully managed. Even
Yeah.
though, yeah, even though Oracle is third party. This is the instance, the service that hosts the database, so it's fully managed for Amazon RDS custom architecture settings, Oracle maintenance architecture. A container database includes one or more tenant. I want to do this. I want the one that gives us more options. Let's do that. Oracle Enterprise Edition or Oracle Standard Edition. The document will tell us which one. So we'll do maybe standard. Enterprise should be bigger than standard. Enterprise should be bigger. Or let's try Oracle Enterprise Edition. Anyone is okay. So affordable and full-featured database management system. Affordable and full-featured database management system supporting this standard. Okay, license. Bring your own license. This is where the limitation comes in. License included. So I'm buying license for the use of Oracle. What does that bring my annual fee to? 1,900. So is this something I want to proceed with? I don't even want to experiment with it. Although I already have Oracle license. Don't bother with the license. So I just come here and say Oracle Enterprise. Yeah, we're not, at least it's good that we are knowing what and what is available so that what we are recommending we know. So let's just go ahead. Bring my own license from a different provider. And this is the engine, like the specific version I'm using. Special patch. Not sure what that means. Oracle people will know. Templates, production environment, or let's do dev this time. And that should be cheaper than, yes, 272 compared to CrowdDAO. Okay, so let me not say I have license, let me not lie so that they can show me everything that I need to configure. So that has come down to 600 and something from 900 and something. And then credential management, managed in AWS secret, or I'm going to say, don't worry, I would create my own username and password. So like we did before, this will be manager. Oh no, what's the username? The username will be manager. And then the password will be the akin 2024 slash the akin 2024 slash. All right, so the instance that will host this Oracle database, this is about the instance. Standard class, include classes. I'll take the right instance as agreed upon. And then the storage, since it's for 1 month, we are going to take the latest one that's really fast. Allocated storage, maybe 200 or 1,000. Wow. This is about the storage inside the instance that will actually ultimately host the data. Additional storage configuration. Yeah, we can ask storage people, what exactly do you need? And then they tell us, and then we put it there. Availability and durability. Do not create standby instances. Why not? Create multiple instances in multiple availability zones. Oh, okay. It's saying do not create because we are not doing production environment. So why do we need it? So this is only for development. When we're ready to go into production, then the facility is going to be so robust that is going to cost us so much. So for non-production, and then for connectivity, don't connect. Why not connect to an instance? All right. And then we choose the instance we want to connect these two, just like we did before. We don't have another VPC. We're using the default VPC, so we don't have a choice there. And the rest is basically the same. No public access. VPC security group, use the default security group. All right, certificate of authorization of authority, like we saw before. All right, use the default one so that a different a new layer of security is introduced. And then the port this time is different for Oracle 1521. That is what will communicate with that. Database authentication option, password authentication. In other words, to provide username and password to be able to enter the instance. And for monitoring, it should monitor everything that is happening and retain that for 7 days. Additional monitoring, yes, we could do that, but what we are monitoring is okay. And all of this should be connected to our cloud watch so that we can see all of the logs displayed visually so that we can see what is going on. And all of that there. So if we click create now, it will create our RDS. And then we'll give the username and password to our. So the developers, among the developers, we have database administrators, and then they are the people that will go into the nitty-gritty. They are the Oracle certified people who have got to train there, and then they will be able to do the details there. All right. So that's it. So even if we take a third one now, just to have a feel of what's like, it's not going to be too different. The completion of the form is not going to be too different from what we already used to. Right? So that's how to create RDS, not databases, but RDS. RDS is the managed complete system, the entire cluster managed by AWS.
So RDS is all about, database.
Yes, relational database. The D there means database.
So when you say relational database, they just mean
Ah, when we say relational database, it's a bit complex. I have not explained that in a long time, but it basically means that compared to having a table, so you go and you set up a table of all items in Walmart, all of the items, for example, related to electronics. That's a table. So item one, laptop 00112, and then maybe the price. And then you have another table that is also related to electronics. But this one is not talking about price, it's talking about the same item one, manufacturer, electronics does not have expiry date. So what else can we do? Country of make, and then you have another table again, still on the same electronics, but this time it's talking about the amount, the cost price for item one. So you see that all of these tables are related to electronics, and they must relate to one another. In other words, item one here relates to item one here. It's got primary key. And then these tables have relationship. One to one, one to many, they have relationship. So it's kind of complex, but it's basically saying that the tables within the database have connection. They are interrelated with one another. So that way, if you are querying for something on this table and it's not on this table, it can be fetched from this table and so on. Now, compare all of this scenario that I'm trying to explain, compare that to just a single table in Excel where all of the info that you need is presented on a single table. It's not really distributed across multiple tables. So this is non-relational. But this is a relational database. So when we talk about use of databases in applications such that it will work the way it is working as we are, then they have to be relational. Compared to, if I just bring all of the data, pour them in, doesn't matter what source or where, just dump them in there, then that is non-relational database. Does it give you an idea? You don't really have to understand the
I
detail.
mean, I'm gonna get that all the tables relate to one another regarding a particular product.
Yes. And there
But
could be so many
non-relational.
tables, non-relational, yeah, opposite.
Okay.
So if I say all the people all the students in my class, for example, and then we just get one table. That is a non-relational database, in fact. But if we now say all the students in my class, and then I relate them to, okay, maybe like all,
So for
all,
example, if this is, so go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, for example, all American citizens will be one big table if you wanted to put everything relating to, but we'll now have different tables. All American citizens as it relates to work and maybe as it relates to social security, that is one table. As it relates to work, that's another table. As it relates to payment of tax, that's another table. So we can have as many as 300 different tables, all related to one another, such that when you have the social security number of one, you can use that primary key to find out anything that you need amongst all of these 300 tables about that particular person. It is because all of the tables are relational, they are interconnected with one another. That's why you can use one primary key to find out. So those will be relational. So one industry does not have to have access to all of the database. The health industry will have access to, the health sector will have access to the tables that are only related
Mm-hmm.
to health. Financial will have access to tape and so on and so forth. But centrally, they are all interconnected one way or the another using public. Now, that's an example. And then you can now begin to imagine that that is a complex situation, right? So therefore, we need people
Yeah.
that can understand it deep enough to be able to
So
interrelate.
just to conclude, so it can be about okay. So relation database about Somi, he likes Coke, he drinks, he likes Fanta. Okay, he likes Coke, he likes football, he likes chicken, whatever it is. All of them on different tables, but they all relate about this one person called Somi.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Or when
Yeah.
such relationship does not exist, it's just about Somi and his age and how tall, and just nothing is relating to another table, then that would just be non-relational. In fact,
Mm.
sometimes most of the time, we don't even call it non-relational database. We just call it data, or we call it, if we must mention them as database, then we must say non-relational. Or another word for non-relational is, there's another common English word. We'll get to meet the word.
Okay.
All right, so that is about databases, and now we can begin to slow down from this point now that we have known how to create databases. So next time we'll create a new database from scratch, and this time we'll go beyond just creating the database to actually seeing how we can, like we said, connect to the database and see, oh,
Yeah.
because right now I said I've created a database. You are not actually able to use it to tell that, oh, we do actually have a database. Or at least, not the database, sorry, that we do actually have at least the database instance that we're able to connect to, because we said connect our EC2 to it. And then once you're able to connect to the instance, you log in, and then you have the opportunity to now create tables. If you have the skill, then that is when you now know that, yes, our database is actually working. Our RDS is actually working. So the RDS is a combination of the database, the instances, the environment, everything together.
Okay.
All right, so we'll keep that for Monday, and then that is where we'll now talk about using these commands here. So it's outside of the curriculum, but I just want to pride myself in the fact that yes, we have gone beyond just creating the database too. So once we're able to do that as part of the end of chapter project, we'll complete that part and then we'll move to a new topic.
Okay.
All right, so that's all for today. As for this one, we don't need to come back to this. So this one is basically saying, okay, so what I'm going to do here is we have done the hands-on of this. In fact, it's so broad that we couldn't really talk about all of that. So what I'm going to do here is, okay, let's continue from here. We'll talk about Amazon Elastic Cache, do one or two demo there, and then we'll do the end of project here. And then we'll now cover a new topic, Amazon S3 bucket and CloudFront. Once we cover that one, which is a fairly practical topic all through, and then we are done with that. Did I say that we are not using CLI? I was wrong. Oh. We actually will be setting up CLI for the first time from this place.
From VS Code?
Yes.
Awesome. I want to
Be
learn
doing.
VS Code.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd be scared of it. Okay. All right. So that's
No, I'm not
beautiful.
scared of. I'm not scared of. I want to learn VS Code.
Yes. So we are going to do introduction to VS Code from the perspective of what we are doing now. I'll be able to run some basic commands from VS Code to go into cloud and cloud and do stuff for us. And then with
Okay.
that one, you can claim the experience of VS Code. And then by that one would have gotten to the middle of would have gotten to 50% of the class training once we hit that
Of
point.
the part of the class training or of AWS.
Of AWS, yes, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Once we get to that CLI place, we would have gotten to the climb and the peak. So from that point on, we'll begin to climb down, to come down. Talk about
So,
SNS.
so that means that by Monday or Wednesday, we should get into VS Code.
Maybe not Monday, maybe Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
I'll
depends on
watch this
how.
video because I'll watch this video tomorrow. It's a
Mm,
long video.
mhm.
It's the one for this class, so I'll watch it tomorrow. I have some free time tomorrow, so that should be fine.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. All
Okay,
right, so meanwhile, development of the node continues.
no problem.
Yeah, so
No problem.
that's it for now. If you don't mind, we can close a bit early.
Oh yeah, so I'm tired.
Mhm.
I'm tired.
All right, so thank God we made it today. I didn't know we could.
Okay,
All
no
right,
problem. So I'll
yeah.
watch the video tomorrow. Thank
All
you so
right.
much for taking.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Enjoy the
okay.
weekend ahead.
You too. You too. Thank you.
All right.